Hello and welcome everybody. My name's Ryan, the official host here at Reddit Voice, and today we're going to be looking at some of the top stories from r/NuclearRevenge. Before we do though, you know the drill. I'd really appreciate it if you'd hit that subscribe button and that notification bell to stay up to date on all the latest videos. I didn't give my twin brother my kidney because he had an affair with my girlfriend and then outed me as a bisexual. I was told to post my story here and figured this was my revenge cast. Fake names for obvious reasons: me, Ryan, brother Sebastian, mum, dad, sister Jane, best friend Isaac, cousin Kai, backstabbing cow, girlfriend, husband Daniel. I, Ryan, not Ryan from Ask Reddit Tells or Reddit Voice, but rather Ryan of the story, and my twin brother Sebastian have never ever been close. In fact, he made life hell growing up, and my parents didn't help by playing favorites, getting him better stuff on our birthday, only going to see films he liked at the cinema, and giving him extra money for housework despite us doing the same amount of work. He would always put me down, belittle me, bully me with his friends at school, break my stuff, and then blame me when he was just a pain in general. Growing up, the only people I knew to rely on was my older sister Jane, my cousin Kai, and my best friend Isaac, who all knew what an awful person my brother was. Anyway, cut to when I was 17 and I had my first girlfriend, someone I loved very much. We didn't have sex because she wanted to wait for her 18th birthday to lose her virginity, but it turns out that she was having an affair with my brother behind my back for half the time we were together, and only got caught when it was revealed she was pregnant. I was crushed. She knew how much I hated my brother, and she saw some of the awful things he did to me, but she still went and did that. Cheating is bad enough, but to do it with him of all people. I punched him in the face and broke his nose, and made him lose a tooth, but according to my parents, I'm the one in the wrong, and now we have to help this girl who is carrying my brother's child, and have to help support them. My brother then said he had no intention of being a father, and told my girlfriend to get an abortion. She then ran out of town and I never saw her again. Don't know if she had the baby or aborted. All I know is that she was gone and my folks were still praising my brother as the golden child. I was still the black sheep and failure as usual. Another year goes past and me and my brother still despise each other, but I had started dating again. It was a long while before I found someone, but I found a boy I liked. I am bisexual, and this new guy Daniel I had met at college caught my eye. He was deaf, and I studied sign language out of boredom, so we got to talking, and things just seemed to click. We date, fall in love, bring him to my friend Isaac's party to introduce him to friends, and all feels great. At this point, the only one who knew I was bi was Isaac, but one day, walking into a cinema holding my boyfriend's hand, I bump into my evil twin. He points, laughs, and says some homophobic remarks. I tell him to go F himself, and I go see a movie with my arm round my boyfriend. When I got home after dropping my boyfriend home, I knew I'd be facing something as I walked through the front door. I saw both my parents on the sofa, my mother crying about how on earth could she have given birth to someone so disgusting. Was it too much to hope she saw the light and was talking about my brother? But nope, she was talking about me and how I'm a stain on our family's name. My father gets up, yells at me, spouts homophobic remarks and slurs, and at this point I see my brother up the staircase with a shit-eating grin on his face. He then comes down and says he's uncomfortable with sharing a room with a insert very bad remark, and my folks kick me out there, and then, with that, little clothes and money, I had went to Isaac's house, and his family took me in, where I stayed for 6 months, actually experiencing familial love and affection. And Isaac's mother and stepdad I consider my own parents now. Eventually, me, Daniel, and Isaac all get a 2-bedroom flat together, and all is good for the time being. So cut to December last year, me and my boyfriend, now husband Daniel, are married. Isaac was my best man, my sister and cousin Kai walked me down the aisle. I have a brilliant job in graphic design, have my own house by the sea, and life has never been better. However, I got a call from my sister that my brother was in the hospital. I hadn't thought about him that much over the past 9 years. Since I was kicked out, being reminded of his existence brought up a lot of painful memories for me. I was told by my sister that Sebastian wanted to see me and that it was urgent. So I went to the hospital, and he was in and met my sister outside in the front entrance. I ask her what it's all about, but she doesn't tell me, and tells me that I need to ask my twin. So I arrive to where my brother is, who have my parents at his side, and my folks actually look happy to see me, as if what they did to me hadn't happened. And Sebastian also looked really pleased to see me. It's safe to say something was off. Eventually, I ask what's going on and why I was even here, to which my brother tells the family to leave us two alone. He looks so weak, as before he used to intimidate me so much. He told me that he was dying from kidney failure, and has been for the past few years, but now he didn't have long left. I knew immediately where this was going. He then said he always regretted that we never got along, at which point I told him no. He looked confused and asked what I was on about, so I simply told him I wasn't going to donate my kidney to save him. He looked as though I had just shit in his food. He then went on about how bad the situation was and that he was really sorry for all the things we did to each other growing up. Like, excuse me? We did to each other? I told him that I just wanted a brother growing up that cared and loved me for who I was and wouldn't try to break me every day for 18 years. He then called in our mom and dad and told them that I wasn't going to give up my kidney. They then started to spout off that I owed them for the existence and that I have a duty to look after family. I asked them where the duty was when they kicked me out of the house, and where that duty was every time my brother gave me a black eye, or where the duty was to look after their grandchild when Sebastian decided he didn't want to be a father. I said all the things he's done, from outing me to having an affair with my girlfriend and abandoning his child. That this was the universe's and my way of finally giving back what he had dished out to bite him in the arse. I then turned around and walked out of the room, having that be the last time I ever saw Sebastian again. Not sure why they'd want a, insert very bad term for a person who happens to be gay, kidney away. I walked past my sister, who gave me a look, and I gave her a look back, who then turned to give me a look that said, "I understand." After leaving the hospital, I felt as if a great weight had been taken off my shoulders. I went home and never looked back, pleased with my decision. Now last week, I get a call from my sister calling to inform me that Sebastian had died. She asked if I was okay, and I said I was. That I didn't really feel anything, in all honesty. She said she understood to a degree, as Sebastian hadn't been all that kind to her over the years either. I had my husband and Isaac there to support me. Honestly, at this point, Isaac may as well be our adopted child, since his living with us till the whole situation with the world is over. The next day, I was getting calls and texts from family members I hadn't spoke to in years, telling me that I'm going to hell for being a bad son, being a bad brother, and for being gay, and that me and my husband don't deserve children. Hubby and I have been looking into adoption and surrogacy. This makes me second-guess my choice of not giving my brother my kidney. Even in death, his making things harder for me. I did wonder if I was being a bad person and if I made the wrong decision, but I knew that if I was in the position, I would have been left for dead. Screw him. Other bits of information that may clear things up. His renal failure was from living a hardcore lifestyle of drugs and alcohol. My folks and sister did get themselves tested to see if they're matches, and none of them were. I disowned them for being my family members years ago, apart from Jane, so when I got married, I took my husband's last name and hyphen it with Isaac's last name, to which his folks were very pleased about. Some family, Kai's folks and my dad's brother, have actually called to see how I'm doing and say they don't judge me for what happened. Others, however, have continued with said abuse, whom I've now blocked. If he had been a good brother throughout my life, I'd have done it without a second thought. I'd have done the same thing for Jane, Kai, Isaac, and my husband, but I felt he didn't deserve it. It's unlikely I'll ever see my parents again, and I'll make sure my children will never meet them. My revenge to them will be being a better parent than they ever were. TLDR, I didn't donate my kidney to my evil brother due to him being awful to me my whole life, having an affair with my girlfriend, and then outing me and convincing my family to disown me because I'm bisexual. Racist teacher gets his car burned and career lost. This happened to my dad in the 80s in communist Bulgaria, when the government had issues with the Turkish and changed their names. Didn't let them in the ruling party, didn't let them guard the borders, and didn't let them talk Turkish. There is also that teacher who hated my dad for being Turkish, oftenly tried to get my dad in trouble, and failed. That teacher also lived far away from the school, and the bus didn't go there, so he really needed his car. He was stupid enough to tell the class where he lived. This is important later. A lot of my dad's classmates hated that teacher, so they gathered to break his lights with a slingshot. My dad, who was going home, and went past them. The teacher saw them and they ran away, except my dad, who was very far away from them, already going home. On the next day, my dad was expelled for that. My granddad was angry. He had loads of rakiza and came up with a plan. Hope I pronounced that right. He went into his house and saw his damn fingerprints on the car. Without even trying to blame the other kids, the teacher straight away blamed my dad. My granddad, in a fit of anger, made a Molotov and burned his car down. The teacher didn't show up to school again since his car burned down and he lost his career. The only thing I heard from my dad is that the teacher was working as a trash collector. My granddad even threatened the other teachers' cars to be burned down if they didn't take my dad back for false accusations. They took him back. My granddad was a feared person in that neighborhood, and I have other stories to share about him. And with that, folks, that's all the time we have for today's r/NuclearRevenge. If you liked it, make sure to check out some of our other stuff and maybe even subscribe. As always, my name's Ryan, the official host here on Reddit Voice, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video.